Hello, how are you? Welcome to Take on Tech. This is your #1 tech show because we always keep you informed on matters technology, both locally and internationally. And today is no exception because we have an all-packed up show for you, including a very interesting conversation that will be coming up later on in Tech Talk. Well, you can interact with us at Take on Tech on KBC Channel 1. That's our social media handles using the hashtag Take on Tech. My name is Stephanie Ayieta. Kenya is forecast on becoming the regional technology hub, and in the just concluded Kenya Connected Summit, it made plans towards this. We'll be telling you more on what happened at that particular event. And internationally, tech experts, including the likes of Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter, are urging for a halt of the AI trainings. We have more details in our Tech News Roundup. The Connected Kenya Summit, one of the leading tech events in Kenya and East Africa, is scheduled to take place from April 2nd to April 5th. This year's conference will be hosted by the ICT Authority in collaboration with key players in the ICT sector. The conference strives to formulate and propose guidelines, regulations, and operational measures while also offering an opportunity for meaningful interactions that can lead to beneficial partnerships and contribute to economic growth. Moreover, the Connected ICT Innovation Awards honor Kenyan entrepreneurs for their new ICT products and services, with over 52 recognized since the first awards in 2011. The awards showcase innovations aligned with Kenya's goal to develop a strong middle-income economy by 2030, with participants submitting full proof of their work in one of 5 categories, which are healthcare, manufacturing, agriculture, fintech, and public service. There will also be a Women in Tech segment, which is a key voice in the tech space. The current theme, Women Molding the Digital Economy, underscores the vital contribution women make to the advancement and expansion of technology. In attendance will be the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy in Kenya, Mr. Eliud Owalo. Also, Fiona Songa, the CEO of Tespoc, Immaculate Kasait, the Commissioner, the Data Protection Commissioner Immaculate Kasait, among many other key stakeholders in the ICT sector. The US government wants to ban TikTok because its officials are concerned that their data collected by this platform could fall into the hands of the Chinese government. They say that this data could be used to spy on Americans or to spread propaganda. The government has already banned the app from government devices, a move also taken by the UK, Canada, and the EU. India also banned the app altogether in 2020. TikTok insists that it operates no differently from other social media companies and says it will never comply with an order to transfer data to the Chinese officials. 1 in 3 Americans uses TikTok, and a ban on such a popular app would be unprecedented in the US. The most likely route for enforcing a government ban will be to order app stores such as those operated by Apple and Google to remove TikTok from their platforms. That would mean people could no longer download the app that way, but those who already have the app would still have it on their phones. Over time, the app would stop receiving updates, which could cause issues for users. When the Indian government banned TikTok, it disabled downloads and demanded that internet service providers block it altogether. This made it more difficult to access the app or website for most ISPs in India, although there are some workarounds. Notably, variants of the app have popped up online which people can download to their modified devices in order to use it, like using the virtual private network. According to TikTok's help page, it collects information on your approximate location by checking your SIM card and IP address. It is unknown if TikTok would choose to bar users from using the app. It could decline to assist the government and instead allow people in the US to use the platform so long as they can find workarounds to access it. Kenya is focused on becoming the regional technology hub, and in the just concluded Kenya Connected Summit, it made plans towards this. We'll be telling you more on what happened at that particular event. And internationally, tech experts, including the likes of Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter, are urging for a halt of the AI trainings. We have more details in our Tech News Roundup. Cruising quietly in southern Norway is the Yara Buckland, which looks like an ordinary small ship. This container operates with 5 crew members on board, but it is projected that if all goes well, in 2 more years the vessel's bridge will be removed and there won't be any crew on board at all. Captain Vend, who is at the helm of the 80 meters long ship, says they're taking big steps towards autonomy and that there's a lot of installed technology there that is not on existing ships. The Yara Buckland will navigate aided by sensors including radar and cameras, which will feed data to an artificial intelligence which will detect and classify waterborne obstacles. They have situational awareness, that is cameras on the sides, front and stern of the ship. Therefore, the ship can decide to change its path because something is on its way. The captain's job will move on to dry land to a remote operational center more than 80 kilometers away, where several ships could potentially be monitored at the same time. If necessary, humans will be able to intervene by sending commands to alter the speed and course. The director for next generation shipping at Kongsberg Maritime, Ms. Reist, says that some of the technology has already been around for many years, so it's really just putting it all together. When it comes to safety, crewless vessels need to perform as well, if not better than captain ships, says Marius Tenam, an associate professor of applied autonomy, who believes that there will always need to be a backstop, someone monitoring who could intervene if necessary. There's skepticism whether large unmanned ships could be crossing oceans anytime soon, though first the legal challenges must be resolved, and then the ships need robust energy and propulsion systems that require very little maintenance, points out Professor Tanam. In our Tech of the Week feature, we give more flesh to the question of the day. We tell you about the AI chatbox therapy. What exactly are the experts saying about this? Here it goes.
Welcome to the interview section of Take on Tech, a weekly program that brings you technological concepts and debates and breaks them down in an untech way. In today's interview section, we will be focusing on use of technology to bring all into the classroom through an app known as iFUNZA. That's Kiswahili for iLearning. In the studio, we have Martin Kariithi, who is the founder of iFUNZA and who also works in FinTech and EduTech. Karibu sana, Martin.
Thank you very much, Grace.
Yeah.
I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity. We're big fans of this show, and we're just humbled to be here. iFUNZA is a platform that brings together all the stakeholders in the education ecosystem to allow them to collaborate and get better outcomes. So at the end of the day, the whole education ecosystem is driven towards the success of the student. Now, what we do with our platform is we bring together all those stakeholders and allow them to collaborate, transact, and communicate any kind of issues they have within the group. So for example, when I talk about stakeholders, I'm talking about parents, I'm talking about teachers, I'm talking about school administrators, and I'm talking about vendors in the space. So each one of them plays a key role in the education ecosystem, and we make it easy for them. So for parents, it's easy to get information about your children. It's easy to get events information, follow up with grades. For teachers, it just makes their life easier. Having a way to easily communicate with parents, manage the classroom. We have even things like something as simple as attendance taking. We actually make that easier. So we bring together all these stakeholders, and within it, we kind of make their lives easier to improve the education outcome of the child. Okay. We have a partnership with the KPSA, which gives us reach to around 4,000 of perhaps 10,000 schools in the local region. But beyond just the local region, most of those schools tend to be focused in urban areas. So that's where we've seen a high uptake of technology solutions. So as a technology solution, we do need a technology device to actually fully take advantage of it. And what we see is there's a strong bias towards the urban areas, but the rural areas are picking up slowly. And eventually, I think we have to close that digital divide. So I expect in the next couple of years, most people should have access to the tools that can allow them to use the platform. Once we sign up a school, the school then communicates to all their stakeholders that they're using this platform. So they communicate to all the parents that they're going to be using the platform, communicate to even the vendors, the school teachers and administrators. And from there, we now focus on solving problems within that space. And those problems are varied. I would say starting with communication. You want to be able to communicate with each stakeholder efficiently. So we have a channel that allows for that. There is the transactions that need to be processed within that ecosystem, whether as a school, you're billing, or a third-party service provider that's offering services to the education sector, you need a way to actually access and transact. So the key philosophy behind what we do is we listen to the users and we build what the users' pain points are. We try to solve the users' pain points. So when we started out, we've iterated quite a bit. So when we started out, we were simply focused on the journal. So it was simply a daily diary of what has gone on, what homework perhaps is provided, or whatever information the teacher wants to convey to the class. Eventually, we started to add more and more modules by listening to our users. And that, I think, is the key to being successful on a software as a service platform. You have to listen to the users. You have to do what the users, implement what the users are asking for. That way you make their lives easier, you make them more effective, and you actually allow them to get to their end goal. So if it's teachers, they want the best results for the students, same with parents. With its vendors, it's just the ability to provide their services to a willing group. So on all fronts, what we do is we solve the user's problem. We basically learned on the job how to do it. When we first set out to do it, we had no idea the importance of onboarding, training, and a good onboarding system. So when we started out, we thought, here's the solution, and it will organically just be used by each of the stakeholders. But what we've learned along the way is onboarding is a very, very important process. So we offer training to both the parents and the teachers. And we have a very set process. We've done it several times. So we now know the best way to expose them, because we have to train the school administrators, we have to train the teachers, we have to train the finance managers, even up to the bus drivers. Everyone in that ecosystem needs appropriate training. So we have a system where we onboard them, we train them on the use of it, we allow them to give us their feedback around any difficulties they're having in using the platform. And then from there, we now get a much higher result or a much better positive result from using the solution. So there is a process involved in the onboarding, and we have a great team that leads up the onboarding process. So you need a very diverse team. So we do have a team that leads the onboarding process, not just simply focusing on getting good technology out there. The teachers are the primary creators of content on the platform. So we empower these teachers as content creators. We give them the ease tools that they can use to create content and share it. So they are kind of the most important cog, because without the teachers, there is no content. And if there's no content, people will not use the application. So we work very closely with teachers. We have a very good onboarding process, and we're also experimental. We're experimenting around a loyalty point system, which would reward teachers for certain processes, like, say, taking attendance on the application. And we find that really important, because one of the things we pride ourselves in is student safety. So we have a real-time attendance taking system, which the parents know in real time where their child is. So we encourage teachers to use these services because they make the community better. So with the loyalty point system, we are offering loyalty points around the usage of positive transactions that help the overall ecosystem. And then, of course, these loyalty points can be redeemed for items either in cash or for items from the store. First of all, we know where we sit in the market. We sit around the innovative products side of the market. And as you know, there's usually a slower adoption in the main group, but you mostly focus on the early adopters early on. So we have focused a lot on early adopters, and though they are spread all over the country. There are those in Mombasa, there are those in Nyeri, there are those in Naivasha, Nakuru, those in Nairobi. But the key thing that they share is a champion, a product champion within the institution. Okay. So usually it tends to be a school administrator who believes that information is going to be key. Data around driving their decisions is an important step to take. And also, they are willing to learn from new technologies that can help the evaluation of the child. So once we have this champion, who tends to be someone who is an innovator, the whole uptake works really good within that institution. However, certain institutions might be more skeptical in the sense that they don't want to change things as they are being done, despite the fact that we are moving towards more digital, paperless societies. Those tend to have difficulties in implementation. So I would say urban areas still lead, but some of the products we're offering, I think, are very, very key for even the marginalized, or I would call the marginalized group when we talk about something like financial inclusion. We have around 17% who are excluded from the financial community. So some of our tools assist them in bringing them into that fold. So we think our goal eventually is to touch the whole country. I think every parent can use iFUNZA, every school can use iFUNZA. But to start it off, we have been focusing on the early adopters. But eventually, with time, that is our goal, our vision, is that every child should have the best education possible, and the people involved in the education should be well facilitated. So we continue with that as our goal.
You're watching the interview section of Take on Tech. Please continue following us on our social media handles, and that's at KBC Channel 1 across all platforms. Keep watching. You're watching the interview section of Take on Tech, in which we are talking about how to bring all on board into the classroom. So we are talking of how do you bring all these different stakeholders into the classroom, the parents, the teachers, the students, the schools, through a platform called iFUNZA with Martin Kariithi, who is the founder. Now, Martin, please, I just now need to find out from you. You told us when we were beginning the interview section, you said the most important person in this process is the learner.
Yes.
So I assume it's the student, is the pupil. Now, we know that teachers are very critical in actually ensuring that the learner gets to know new things. They're very critical in the success of any education system. So how do you engage, you know, tell us the role of teachers in iFUNZA, you know, how do you involve them? And, you know, in what ways then do you involve them?
Okay, sure. So the teacher is one of the most important pieces of the cog. They sit right in the middle. Mm-hmm. The teachers are the primary creators of content on the platform. So we empower these teachers as content creators. We give them the ease tools that they can use to create content and share it. So they are kind of the most important cog, because without the teachers, there is no content. And if there's no content, people will not use the application. So we work very closely with teachers. We have a very good onboarding process, and we're also experimental. We're experimenting around a loyalty point system, which would reward teachers for certain processes, like, say, taking attendance on the application. Mm-hmm. And we find that really important because one of the things we pride ourselves in is student safety. So we have a real-time attendance taking system, which the parents know in real time where their child is. So we encourage teachers to use these services because they make the community better. So with the loyalty point system, we are offering loyalty points around the usage of positive transactions that help the overall ecosystem. And then, of course, these loyalty points can be redeemed for items either in cash or for items from the store. Okay. With the usage of the application, you start gathering data. Now, each school, depending on when they onboard, will start gathering data around the usage of the platform. So there is a time, you're probably looking at around 6 months of usage data. Then once we have those 6 months of usage data, we then use ML, machine learning, to predict what are the outcomes based on the activities that have been recorded by the platform. So whether the users are, you know, if I post a certain a topic, who is replying to it, how often are their replies, what is the uptake, what is their generation of content. So we have the students able to upload their content onto the platform. So we can actually track their generation of content, and we can track the interventions that have been made by the teachers. So gathering all that data gives us several points. We even have, including the attendance data, which, as you know, is one of the most predictive metrics when you're looking at outcomes. So we take all this data and then we model it out to see, based on historical information, what are the predicted grades given the activities the students have taken part in. Then, once you identify the factors which are actually driving the outcome that you got, the features, so to speak, the parameters that are measurable within the system, you can then provide a plan to teachers to remediate. So if they see that the students' grades are predicted to not be as high due to maybe a lack of engagement, the teacher can then remediate the issue by encouraging the student, okay, I need you to get to this level of engagement to actually improve your outcomes. So what I'd say is it's amazing stuff because it only gets better. The good thing about ML algorithms is that they have a virtuous cycle where the more data you put into them, the more accurate they become with their predictions, the more useful they become for the users. And then the users use it even more and then add more data. So you have this virtuous cycle, which I think only goes up. So if you look at the state of today versus the state of next year, then the state in 5 years, they only improve. So I think it's an important thing, and that's why we actually focused a lot on it in the product.
Okay. Now, where do you see iFUNZA in the next 5 years? You know, because you talked of machine learning.
Yeah.
Now everyone is talking about artificial intelligence.
Where do we see ourselves in the first? Well, first, I would like to talk about two new things that we have. Our immediate upgrade that is coming this January is we are integrating financial services vendors onto our platform. So we have partners in the financial services industry who provide both lending and insurance services.
To the schools?
To the parents directly,
okay.
and the schools. So anyone who is using the platform can actually access those financial services. So that's a big part. We've increased our inclusion, and that's part of what we're doing. So that is coming right away. Within 6 months, we are actually focusing on the strengthening the supply store. So if you're a parent and you need any school-related supplies, within a few clicks you can get it delivered to you. Ease of access and safety in terms of what you are looking for. You get what you're looking for, high levels of quality. So with those changes, we shall have more value from being a member of the community. So we kind of increase the value you get for being a member of the iFUNZA community by adding more services which the users request. So in the future, I see us being the key education partner for every school, every government institution, every community, because we will be almost as a centralized place to solve any problems that arise during the education process. Okay. So we are very optimistic about where things are going. There's an article I recently read which stated that Kenya needs to improve on its EdTech adoption, and we feel we are part of the solution. We know there are other organizations that are doing it, and we feel like we can work together towards that goal. Okay. We are highly collaborative. Okay. And your team, this is a great opportunity for us to discuss such key issues. We believe you're doing quite a great service around tech. With regards to the education technology market, I think it's growing, so we are very optimistic that it's growing, and we see a lot of opportunity to participate in this. At the end of the day, a country needs an educated population to succeed. Education is key. Education is close to 20% of the GDP of the country. It's a big, big and very important endeavor. So we think that we're in the right, we are putting our efforts in the right place because of the impact that will be felt in the market. So with that, we look forward. We're always open to finding new partners, education partners or services partners to help us within our mandate, which is improving education outcomes for students.
Okay. That's a nice way to end. Nothing more to add. So thank you very much. We've been talking to Martin Kariithi, the founder of iFUNZA, and we have been talking about how to use technology to bring all stakeholders into the classroom, and that's the parents, the teachers, and the school administrators, to just make education work effective and seamless. Thank you very much. We hope you can come again to Take on Tech. Please continue following us on our social media handles, and that's at KBC Channel 1. My name is Grace Githaiga. Continue and keep watching.
We have now gotten to the Innovators Club segment, and this is where we challenge you to try something new. Today, we have a simple DIY hack that you can try at home with minimal resources. And then later, you can tell us how that went for you. Let's check it out. that draws the curtain on today's show. But as is the norm, you know that the conversation doesn't stop there. Today we are asking you, would you be open to confiding in an AI chat box therapist? Talk to us. We are curious on what your take on this matter is. The hashtag to use is Take on Tech at KBC Channel 1. Remember, you can also chat with me on my social media handles at Stephanie Ayieta across all social media platforms. Let's meet next week, same time, same place. Until then, let's give it tech. Adios.